Hey, wait a minute. So the guys that control my credit score are $32 trillion in debt?
Yeah, exactly.
But my credit score
the guys that are telling you, hey, man, your credit's not too good. What? You're $32 trillion in debt.
Like,
You're telling me
okay,
I got
Bigs and Bogs.
Oh, how you feeling, Julian?
I'm pretty darn good. How's your weekend?
Not so far. I don't even see you. Hey, guys. Welcome back to your Future Hound Bigs and Bogs. I'm Marty Boggs.
And I'm Julian Biggs.
And we got Spencer on Sound Screens. Thanks for joining us today, folks. We have to come to you once a week or so, talk about this transitioning world of finance and go over some subjects that we do believe will benefit your future hand. So let's get right into it. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Comment down below. Let us know what you think and where you're from. And what are we up to today and how can we plan for tomorrow? Julian.
Thanks, Marty. Good to be back. Same as always. You know what? Actually, it's not the same as always. No market scope today. Still floating around in the same zone with Bitcoin. Just a quick recap on that. They're trying to smash on it. It's not really doing anything major.
Bitcoin's at 26K. DCA and look away.
So DCA, look away. That's the motto today. We're going to go into a reaction video. This is Andre Jick. So this guy brings a lot of the latest news, kind of puts it into a layman's version that everyone can kind of jive with. And we're going to react and just
this one's called the Silent Depression, or what? The Silent Depression just started.
So the Silent Depression just started.
Let's check it out.
More and more Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and that's because we're living through what some people are starting to call...
Wait a minute, didn't we talk about this like a year and a half ago?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, here we go. That's why it's called Your Future Hand. But anyways, let's see what he's got to say.
The Silent Depression, a time that's comparable to one of the worst economic times in U.S. history, the Great Depression, which lasted between the years 1929 to 1941. And the reason that it's being called the Silent Depression is because it's not necessarily something that's been acknowledged by the government, but it is something that people are starting to feel about their money. And that's why you might have seen videos on platforms like TikTok, which got millions and millions of views comparing 2023 to the Great Depression.
I want to show you the numbers on what the average income was during the Great Depression to now. So 1930, the average net yearly income of Americans annually was $4,887.
So using data from the BLS.gov, the government's own website, you can see that an income of almost $4,900 in 1930 is worth the equivalent of over $87,000 in 2023. And this is per person, not per household. And obviously the average person today is not making anywhere near $90,000 per year, and yet they were during the Great Depression. So what the heck is going on? The video then goes on to show that in 2019, the average person made a little over $31,000 per year.
2019, and this was the average income for one American in the United States.
So it really does seem like we're living through some crazy silent depression, and I was shocked, and I couldn't believe that right now you're telling me that we're experiencing a time that's potentially worse than the worst time in US economic history? There is no way. And the more I looked into this data, the more I realized it was extremely cherry-picked to show a certain narrative, because that's what got the most views on social media. The truth is, we do have it a lot better than the Great Depression, but we also kind of don't. Things could obviously be a lot better, but things aren't that bad yet. First, the worst years of the Great Depression are considered to be between 1932 to 1934, which is when the stock market reached the lowest point and lost over 80%. And the average person in that time was not making $4,800 per year. The average across all industries instead was a lot closer to $1,400 per year, which by today's dollar standard is closer to $30,000 a year. That's the real 1930s income. But I also wanted to find out how that compared to today's income, considering all this wage growth that we've had since the start of the pandemic. And I found that data from the BLS showed the median income across all ages and all industries was closer to $50,000 per year in 2022. So by income standards, we're doing a lot better today than we were in the 1930s. But then I wondered, how much did everything cost back then, though? Let's look at the big three: transportation, food, and housing. Because back in 1932, Ford introduced its replacement for the Model A called the Model B. It's creative. It could comfortably fit 5 people, it had a V8 engine which had 65 horsepower, and it could go as fast as 75 miles per hour. And it actually looked good. It was by any measure the quintessential pimp sled desired by all who laid their eyes on it. And brand new, out the door, that car cost $460, which by today's measure is about $10,000. That's about a third of a person's income in 1932 for a brand new car. But now let's fast forward to 2023, because the price of a brand new car has actually gone down, but it's still over $48,000. That's an entire yearly income, and that's before taxes. Now you'd think that with all of our technological advancement and experience of making cars close to a century that we'd figure out how to make them even cheaper than we did back then, but nope. But then I looked into food and housing costs, and that's when it got even worse. So let me show you all the data regarding the silent depression, what's actually going on in the economy, and how to potentially stay ahead of it. So let's get into it. Hi, my name is Andre Jick. Hope you're doing well.
So that was just the intro. So anyways, it's like the people... If it's a silent depression, it's just because we're not paying attention, or they're ignoring it on purpose. Yeah, they're like, "No, it's okay, it's fine, we're good."
That's just it.
Don't look over there.
It's like,
don't look over there.
Reality becomes reality. So reality is perception. So reality becomes reality when we interact with it. And as long as they're distracting us from what's really going on, and we ignoring it, or ignoring it, then we're all none the wiser.
Is bliss, right?
So it's like,
get mad about this. Look at this. Check this out. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. And, these are the things that we were talking about, a year and a half ago it was the bull market, the last bull market was still hyped. And they were talking about the deflationary period. We talked about a deflationary period. They talked about recession, and we talked about a deflationary period. So the prime example of this actually happening, and we can look at it. I wish we actually prepared for this, but it's only coming up in my head now. But if we look at the money supply from 12 months ago to today, so M2, which is how we observe the money supply. In November...
So it's gone up entirely, but yes, it's gone down.
But in November, so the last time that Jerome Powell was coming out to have his little chat, this time last year, we had a positive money supply of like 26%. It was like record high money supply that we had.
Of course, it's always
at the end of 2021.
Yeah.
And right now, we're actually in the negative for the first time in a long time.
Forever.
Right? So we talked, and
first time forever.
We talked about the deflationary period, and that was exactly it. So they stopped money printing.
They've never done it. This has never happened.
We were positive 26% with money supply, and now we're negative 4% with money supply.
Okay,
So
we might actually have one little dip here, back in 2003, but this is only. Can't even, it's so small I can barely see it. That's only not even 1%.
Right.
And that was the last time. Doesn't exist. They don't stop printing money.
So we talked about the deflationary period before it happened. This is what happened, and we can see it in the charts. But this is
obviously just judging by the charts. Well, look at this. We had such an extreme high. That was the most incline we've ever seen on the chart too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And
going all the way back to 1959.
And what sparked all that, right?
Yeah, we had probably a 71. Yeah, right around here in the early 70s.
But like this is COVID.
Yeah, of course, right? Yeah, so
it's like the
things are getting shaken right up.
Well, the thing that's changing is that they learn more and adapt to how they can accumulate more of our cash flow.
Of course. And you know what is so funny is people are already talking about whatever comes next, don't comply, because they're already talking about doing that whole thing over again. And for anybody that was like, no, they wouldn't do that. Why would they do that?
It's like new lockdown restrictions too right now.
They made so much money that whole time. Why wouldn't they do it again? That's what it's all about. They don't care about your well-being. Like they made more money. More money was made during 2020 to 2021, all the way to the end of 2021, than ever before in history.
Yeah. So
why wouldn't they do that again? Of course they're going to do that again.
It doesn't matter because whatever the energy is, the energy creates more value for them. So if they lock us all down and we're all in our phone screens and buying online and doing all this stuff, right? They learn and adapt, and it's the same thing from the 1930s. They had that. Whatever the technology was at that time, they crashed the stock market, take all the value that they... So from the end of the First World War to 1929, right, they had all this boom, the roaring 20s, they built it all up, yada, yada. Then 1929, oh, whoops, stock market crashed, which just means we just fucking filled our accounts.
Absolutely rug pulled.
Right? Yeah, rug pull, that's it. Yeah. Right? And they start all over again. And each time this happens...
But crypto's a scam.
Yeah, crypto's the scam. Yeah, right. Crypto is the way out of this scam.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's scams in crypto.
And it's like the reality is
Bitcoin is pretty
nobody knows the truth and you're not going to know the truth. But somebody started the stock market and there's families in there that have way more shares that are controlling large firms full of traders that run these markets, right?
Mm-hmm. Millions and millions and millions of dollars a day. Like you can't even, like, the life of a trader is richer than the most professional athlete, the most professional musician. Like, the life of a trader is so beyond what you can even fathom when it comes to money and wealth. Like, it's insane. And that's the game that they try to hide from you, but how they take all of the money that they get, they push it into the system, they push it through the poor and the middle class, and then they accumulate it. And it's just like, it's like absolutely perfect the way they do it. They put it into the system to help everybody out, and everybody doesn't use their own mind. They use the mind that's given to them, and they spend their money on the things that they see on TV and the things that they see on screens and billboards all around them.
Everything's a drug, man.
Right? So they give you the money and tell you where to spend it, and that's how they make their money. Print it, filter, and receive.
And once they take all the value, there's going to be a cap on your value. Because once this whole fiat system and everything else is gone, you're like...
Well, they know it's nearing an end, right?
But
so there's an obvious reason why they're making such a big push.
Once everything's digital, they can put restrictions on it, right? So it's like, okay, nobody wants to work, or we don't need you to work because of XYZ. Now you get this. We give you these digital dollars, but you got 1 week to spend it.
Yeah.
Or else they fucking expire.
Yeah. Which
Right?
is what you definitely don't want. That's why you use Bitcoin. Just use Bitcoin. Like stop worrying about somebody else being in control of your value. Like just take control of yourself. That's the thing. Is the weak people will go for the CBDCs, but the strong person will go for Bitcoin.
I've been buying Bitcoin for a few years now, but I just started using Wealthsimple this year. So Wealthsimple and like the trading firm that I'm using, so Binance is leaving Canada, which sucks. So I got into Wealthsimple, and the beauty thing about Wealthsimple, this is where I'm doing my dollar cost averaging. So this is just once a week that goes into
set up for auto DCA,
set up for an auto invest and DCA into Bitcoin. And only since I think it was April when I started this, or actually I think it was March. March. And I'm up just over 20%. It tells you, it tracks it. So just my DCAs from March until now is up 20%. So over the period of 5 months, my savings that I have there is up 20%. Like you don't get that anywhere else, right?
No.
So
and just to be clear, there's a potential we see 12K because they are gonna. I feel like this might be the biggest pre-bull run shakeout that we've ever seen because everybody knows now. Like all the big players are in now and they want Bitcoin as cheap as possible. So the way they always do it is they shake everybody out before they accumulate. So we might see, just like you said, as above is below. Or whatever.
As above, so below.
So below, right? So we saw the double top, the M bearish divergence in the last bull run.
That's true.
We could see the bullish divergence and as below. This I'm just saying it's a possibility. So, but that's good for you. But that's the thing. It's like the worse the news gets, the more you want to buy Bitcoin because back in the day when shit got like sketchy, people would buy gold.
And it's funny. So this is the thing.
Don't buy gold anymore.
This is why I wanted to draw attention to the money supply, though. So when they were bombing the markets on everybody, there was a ton of money in circulation. People had money to blow, right?
Yeah,
so they hype the
point.
market. They hype the market when the money supply is high.
Yeah.
Because then everybody can go, oh shit!
Exactly.
The hype is high. Let's buy everything.
Yeah.
They take that entire 26% of positive money supply.
Yeah.
It's gone. Oh shit, we just devalued the dollar so much, so now we got to stop printing it for a bit. They turn the money printers off for a year. The deflationary period happens.
They have a bunch of money because this is what I'm
trying to say though. So now we want to think that they're going to drive the price down. So now it's like what? People are going to wait for 20K. Possibly 19. They're going to wait for 15.
Of course. That's why we always DCA.
But the thing, and this is what I want to pay attention to, is that when they dump the markets like that on everybody, and we got to remember that the stock market has done an 80% recovery too, right? So that's all their money that's gone back in that they took from everybody else when the money supply was a huge positive. Now we have a negative money supply. So who do they have left except for themselves to sell it to?
Right. There's no money left.
There's no money out there.
Right.
We have a negative money supply.
So the only thing they can do is start the engine back up again. Let's go.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they're the ones holding all the bank. If you didn't print any money and put any money into the economy for the last 16 months, or whatever it's been,
exactly,
right?
So they're flushing everybody dry.
So it's like people talking about 12K. It's like who's got money right now after the last couple of years? Who's got any money right now to buy Bitcoin? Unless you're a longtime holder. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what? The only thing they're doing right now is slowing adoption. So adoption continues to grow. This is why we've continued to see this incline off of 15K, right? But it's like the idea of sub 15K or even sub 18K.
Well, exactly, because
right
the market makers have a duty, and they won't let that happen. They can't.
Yeah.
Especially when their indicators get to the point where it says buy, like you said before. And we see like the RSI is deep in the oversold, right?
I just see it as this whole last year. This is people who have had capital. Like we haven't had the money printers turn off like this, and as far as I know, ever.
Right, and everything's still done almost 100%.
Right.
For the year.
Right.
Yeah.
People just followed market trends.
Yeah.
So it's like that was people with money. People without money, we didn't have the option. You know what I mean? It's like we dollar cost average because that's what we can afford, right?
Yeah.
We do that.
But we're not moving the price.
But we're not moving the price.
No. Yeah.
Right? And so it's like now people are talking about it like all these big sewers coming and these big like a lot
ETFs,
more deeper trenches coming. it's like, I don't know. I just don't see it going too much lower because they got no one to sell it to. Like there's no money out there, right? So it's like, how can they dump the markets anymore? Maybe 20K, 19K right now, but I don't know. I don't see 12K.
Yeah, I mean, I just wouldn't be surprised if it happened. That's why I continue to DCA either way, and I'm not selling my Bitcoin anytime soon because why would I sell my Bitcoin for something that's clearly failing and crashing, right? Like we look at the US dollar or any fiat currency over a long period of time, and it's only trending down. So like when you talk about taking profits, you're taking profits for USD essentially because that is the world reserve currency. But you're taking profit. You're taking something that's falling. So like it's like almost at this point, like what's the point?
And like
on altcoins, maybe, but
the next halving is gonna Bitcoin's gonna fucking.
I'm not worried about taking profits. Like it's not right now. Now it's the time. It's on Bitcoin anyway.
But even just this next halving, come into 2025. And you're going to be blown away. You're going to be like, holy fuck, I wish I bought it for 30K.
Yeah.
I wish I bought it for 40K.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the reality. When the rewards get cut in half. So right now the block rewards are 6.25 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right? Or something like that. So it's like, it's going to get cut in half again.
Yeah, to 6.
Well, it's going down to 3 in the next half.
Oh, sorry, 6. Yeah, exactly. So
right. So
basically the way I'm seeing it right now, is going to... Anytime we're below this blue line, I'm DCAing. Anytime we're above this blue line, I'm probably just chilling, maybe buying little bits, very little bits. And then once we get above this red line, then I'm taking DCAing out probably for a little bit until we get back below this red line. Then I'll start DCAing again because that's when I've taken my profits and then I'm moving back into another accumulation phase for the next.
Bitcoin was not designed for traders. Traders have been able to take advantage of Bitcoin, but Bitcoin was designed to eliminate traders because 90% of traders are taking your money. 90% of traders are not buying into the market. 90% of traders are taking money from the investors.
Well, the thing is you can't short. If you're buying into an ETF, there's no option to short. The traders have an option to short.
Why is
but
there
the people
such a
that are trying to accumulate value for their livelihood don't have an option to short. You can't buy into a short ETF.
But most of Wall Street is people shorting.
Of course. That's how money is made.
Because you don't make money when you buy something. You make money when you sell it.
Yeah.
That's why 90% of the market is takers, right?
And that's the whole Ponzi thing that nobody says or gets.
Yeah. So this is why with Bitcoin, it's going to slowly erode all that greed.
Liquidated shorts.
So this is why if you're always buying Bitcoin, you can always be selling. So Marty talks about DCAing in and DCAing out. But if you just give your faith and your savings to Bitcoin and you just continue to buy all the time on the regular with no intention of selling ever, except for when you need it.
If you had to,
your
could.
car breaks down or you miss a mortgage payment or whatever, you know what I mean?
Take some profits.
You take some of your Bitcoin. But the idea is to just always be buying because the 10, 20 years from now, when fiat fails, you're going to be like, holy fuck, I got all this fucking Bitcoin
Exactly.
now. The only thing that's worth anything is a Satoshi.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the thing is, it's like a lot of people's lives are going to change. And if you can find something to hold on to that holds your value, then hopefully you can maintain the same way of life that you have right now.
You can't think the dollar's going to survive.
No,
because guess what? There's not a single fucking dollar that has ever survived, right?
That's true. That's true.
There's not a single fiat currency.
Every once in a while, they will have a last minute spike, so we might see something crazy. Like they're obviously going to try and hit it. They're swinging for the fences at this point. Absolutely giving her everything. They may hit a home run, but it's a lot of swing and miss.
Yeah, but even if America prevails and ends up on top, it's not going to be some paper fiat currency. No. It's not going to be coins. No. It's not going to be. You know what I mean? It's not going to be that.
No,
right?
It can't. We know it doesn't work.
No,
it's math.
You can't stop Bitcoin.
Science.
Like Bitcoin is basically
it's math and code. It's
Bitcoin is basically a fungus in the internet. You cannot stop it.
Exactly. The only way you can is to go back to
you gotta become one. It's
pre-internet
like
society.
It's like the Borg.
And which is just obviously that could happen too. That would be devastating. So make sure you're prepared. But I don't know, man. If things keep going, and that's another thing, they always try and scare you and say, "Oh yeah, Great Depression, blah blah blah," and you're like, "Okay, don't buy now, don't buy yet, because the things are going to crash." That's always another thing too, right?
These are the times you do.
Always DCA. It doesn't matter what's happening. You're always DCAing.
And if you're always buying, you can always be selling. That's just it.
Let's get into a little bit more of this video.
finance, and stay for the 1930s.
Let's meet Ruth Shelley and Robert Ostman. And they love the 1930s so much, so what have they done, Ruth?
Well, they've ditched their modern lives to immerse themselves completely in the era. And as you can see, that is Ruth's home there, where we're joining them this morning.
Tell us, why do you like to live in the 1930s? Have you seen food and housing prices lately? That's why. So let's take a look at those. Now, information on food is pretty hard to find because there's not a lot of data as far as what people spent on groceries back then, but here are just some of the prices from the 1930s. A dozen eggs was 18 cents and chicken was 20 cents a pound. Overall, everything was significantly cheaper in relation to people's incomes. But then I looked into housing, and that blew my mind. The median home value, even in 1940, was only $2,900, which was about 2 times the annual yearly salary at that time. Meanwhile, today, the median home price in 2023 was $416,000, or 8.3 times the median income of $50,000. But hold on a minute, what does a house from the 1930s even look like? According to thepeoplehistory.com, here are some actual home listings from the 1930s. You could get yourself a 4-bedroom bungalow in Nebraska for just $2,100. I actually had to look up what a bungalow is, but apparently it's usually a single-story house with a sloped roof and something that has a porch or a balcony out front. Something that probably looks like this. Now, if you found a house in 1932, a 4-bedroom for $2,100, that would be like finding a 4-bedroom house today that was worth $75,000. Here's another house in Lima, Ohio for $2,500. You could also get yourself a 10-acre farmhouse in Sheboygan, Wisconsin for $1,900, and you could even get a 5-bedroom in Hammond, Indiana for only $2,000. But the list goes on and on. The point is this, even though our incomes have relative...
Well, just like we were saying, like, it's so clear. There's like, you know, there's an example right there just with real estate. Any asset proves that the dollar is failing. Falling.
Yeah.
It doesn't...
Absolutely.
Like, what else do you need to do? What else do you need to see? Right? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, your asset didn't get... it's not worth more money.
No.
The dollar is worth less.
No.
You lost your purchasing
My grandpa
power.
built a...
And why is that? Probably because they fucking increased the money supply by
Yeah.
like 40% over a period of 3 years.
The last chart we
Right?
just showed. But yeah, like my grandpa built a 7-bedroom, 3-story, 4-bathroom house back in 1940s for 10 grand.
Yeah.
Like multi-million dollar, $2 million, sold for $2 million.
My
not too
family
long ago.
we just sold the property of ours in Nova Scotia, and my grandfather's grandfather built this house in Tracadie, New Brunswick.
Wow.
Sorry, not Nova Scotia. Tracadie,
Wow.
New Brunswick.
Common mistake.
Yeah, common mistake. I was thinking Nova Scotia.
You have brought shame to your family,
my,
Julian.
My uncle just sold it this summer after my grandpa passed away a couple years ago. But
Wow.
yeah, pretty wild.
Wow.
But
For probably quite a bit more than he bought it for.
well, they got the property
It was
for
funny. I was just out on the lake
next to
today.
nothing, and he built
Yeah,
it right
on the
So-
lake today, looking at some properties, and my aunt goes, "Oh, that one was bought for 20 grand, blah blah blah, so and so."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Holy!" Now it's over $2 million.
They probably would have bought that property for under $1,000
Yeah.
and then built that house on
You
it.
can't be scared, folks. If you want to make some gains, you got to be in before everybody else. That's how it works, because you have to have your money in when the money comes in. So you got to take a risk. You know, no risk, no reward. Anyways, let's get going.
Doubled since
couple more minutes. I don't think we're
1932,
gonna
the
finish
relative
this video,
purchasing
but a couple
power of the
more
US
minutes
dollar has gone way down. And what's most interesting is that even though the average person doesn't know or look at this data every single day, they feel it when they're asked about how much money they think they need to be comfortable right now.
The cost of healthcare, that has skyrocketed. The cost of attending college has skyrocketed. The cost of purchasing a home has skyrocketed. But nowhere has anyone said wage growth is up 15%, right?
Right, because the price of everything has outpaced that 15% wage growth. In fact, here's what the average budget looks like in 2023. It was estimated that
It's
after taxes,
just
the median take-home pay was
the
about...
whole conversation about this, and we draw so much attention to this, and like we draw this attention to it like somebody cares. It's like they don't fucking care.
No, it's because they're slowly doing it, very slowly over time does it happen, and people have minds of goldfish, so they don't even...
But it's like we also don't have any choice, because if somebody controls your food source, you will do whatever. We're just
have to.
we're mice in the maze.
We're cats. At least let's be cats.
We're fucking rats, dude.
But
We're
yeah.
rats. That's it. Literally, it's
Yeah.
like we do what the fuck we have to do for the cheese, and that's that's
Oh,
it.
man.
And then that's messed up. Like that's messed up.
It's definitely, well, they've set it up that way, and you're born into
If
the
they-
world
it-
that way, right? Like we go to the
You
grocery
control
store.
the food source. You control everything.
Yeah.
And the reality is that there ain't too many people. We could literally fit every single person in the entire world in Canada, give them enough room to farm,
Yeah.
and everyone would be fine.
Yeah.
The whole fucking world,
Mathematically, it works out. I checked it.
right? So the only thing there is not room for is the greed.
Yeah. The traders. Damn traders.
Fucking traitors.
Damn politicians. Remember, politicians are the
you
biggest
it's,
traders.
They tell you it's the 1%, but it's
Oh,
actually the
man.
90%.
about $3,300 per month. Of that, $2,000 goes towards rent, $690 towards food, and almost $100 towards healthcare. And that's already $2,800 per month on just the essentials to live your life, and that doesn't even include a car payment to get to work, for which the average is about $500 per month for a used car and $700 a month for a new car. That right there is already over $3,300, which exceeds the total monthly budget for the average American person, which also leaves people with almost nothing to prioritize paying down their debt, like their student loans and credit cards, which have an interest rate that's so much higher than anything we could expect to make from the stock market, which also means the average American can't even start saving for retirement. And that's why 72% of Americans don't feel like they're financially secure.
The Federal Reserve has implemented 11 interest rate hikes to combat inflation since March 2022. But more than a third of Americans said rising interest rates
But
keep
that's
them
the
from
thing, though.
financial
It's like, you know,
What's
what's
crazy
funny
about
is I was talking to someone the other day about that. Like, obviously, so like the rich have so much credit debt, and they just make those payments. But that's how they do it.
You leverage credit to buy things that make money.
Yeah.
The difference
Exactly,
between
right?
them and the majority of people is that people leverage credit to buy dumbass shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I bought the new phone. I bought the new laptop. I got some nails. I got a you know what I mean?
And the whole idea about a credit card is that you pay it off, but we clearly doesn't happen. $32 trillion in debt, and then just credit card debt alone is
okay.
around
That's a sham.
$20 trillion in just credit card debt,
okay,
right?
So
it's
that's
like,
a sham. But I'm just saying that the majority of people, you could leverage credit in a different way.
well, that's how you get rich, or how you seem rich,
Right.
Like, yeah, people that have all the stuff, you're like, oh, how does he do that? It's like, well, he's in debt.
But it's
Like,
true though. Like when you think about it, like,
that's
so
all
wait a
it
minute.
takes.
Wait a minute. So the guys that control my credit score, are $32 trillion in debt.
Yeah, exactly.
But my credit score
the guys that are telling you, hey, man, your credit's not too good. What? You're $32 trillion in debt.
it's like,
You're telling me
okay, somebody made this example. And it's funny, like I've seen the million to a billion if you made X amount or how long it would take you to spend, right? So it's from a million, it's what was it, 31, it's 31, it's something stupid. It's like 31 days or 31 months. And then a billion, from the million to a billion is 31 years. But then from the billion to the trillion, it's like 31 to 31,000 years. Like, it is an absolutely ridiculous amount of money. Like $32 trillion is honestly beyond most people's fathomable comprehension. Like, what are you going back at?
I thought I had the saying that you're looking for in there.
Oh, and yeah, and we saw one that was from the million to the billion, but from the billion to the trillion is like, it's such a huge jump that.
Oh, it's unfathomable.
Yeah, like
it's unfathomable.
Really is. Like they're $32 trillion in debt.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Oh, here we go. 1 billion seconds is 32 years. 1 trillion seconds is 32,000 years.
Yeah.
So it's,
that's crazy.
1 billion seconds, 32 years. 1 trillion seconds, 32,000 years.
That's
like it's
crazy.
They're 32
trillion.
That's
in
pretty
debt.
nutty. That's nutty.
So it's like
weird.
Yeah,
weird.
You can't come back from that.
32. I thought it was 23. I thought 23 was weird. Anyways,
Right?
but that's cool.
There's no coming back from that.
No, there's not. There's obviously not.
How do you not believe that the whole world is a Ponzi?
There's
after
obviously not.
learning something like that. Like,
yes, that's well.
It's like, oh wow, these companies control $10 trillion in assets. It's like, well, they're $32 trillion in debt. So, you know,
it's brutal. It's brutal.
Anyway, and that's
though,
why we
is
leave
that the
it to you.
1930s had it
DCA
better.
and look away.
Because back
30
then,
more
their
seconds of
Fed
this.
dropped their
Let's see
interest
what
rate
you
to below 2%, and they kept it there for the entire decade to stimulate the economy. But in 2023, because of said inflation and how expensive things have gotten, our Fed has increased interest rates. So even if you want to borrow money to buy those expensive things, you can't, which is making the situation that much worse.
Look at the person who was going to buy a house that was, let's say, $375,000 2 years ago. Their monthly payment would have been less than $2,000. Now it's about $3,400.
If you got a variable rate mortgage, which you should never get, the only time ever think about getting a variable rate mortgage is when things are absolutely insane and people are telling you do not buy because interest rates are too high. So then you might have a chance of it coming down.
If you have no choice but to buy in these markets, then take a variable.
Potentially, yes. Because you can. But the thing is, it's like it's at.
But you can
close to 9% right now.
You can always go and remortgage. Maybe pay a small penalty
if it drops. Yeah, if it's worth it.
Go. Yeah, exactly. But the reality is that if they go from 5%, I think a mortgage right now in Canada is 5%, to, a couple knocks on that.
4.
right? 4, 3.
3.
People are going to flood the market.
Yeah, there's a lot of people waiting.
They will flood the market.
Well, the unfortunate thing is the people that are waiting are the investors.
And it's like
the people that are trying to buy a house for their family have to compete with the investors.
As soon as that happens,
that's why buy Bitcoin investors.
Well, this is just it.
Stop taking from the family man.
As soon as that happens,
buy Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is going to moon.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what? The shitty thing is that they've pinched the fucking that and decimated the rental market.
Yeah.
So
because as an investment,
that's why it's like,
as
oh
an
man,
investment.
It's like it seems scary to rent, and there's not a lot of housing out there, so everyone just wants to go and buy, and everyone's trying to get into something. And the whole goal, and it's like the American dream is to get into something, right, and get into a house and this and that.
Yeah.
But it's like after the pandemic, the reality is like it's almost not even worth it.
No,
right?
It's
like
so
your
inflated.
money is better off in Bitcoin now, and it's you might have a little bit of a rut to go through. But it's probably probably better off than buying a house at 5, 6, 7% interest.
I think either way there's going to be a bit of a rut. But yeah, in the long run, you're going to be. I mean, you need a place to live. It makes sense. It's hard to, everybody's situation is different, so it is what it is. But like ultimately, the problem is that investors, the investing principle has taken over the housing market, and people need a place to live.
Yeah, and the thing is too, if they really crunch on this climate change thing and push people into cities and do all that, oh, everything's burning around you, we got to push you out. It's like, we're going to keep you safe. We'll keep, we'll localize everyone and keep everyone safe. If they start doing all this, it's like the whole scam of investing in a property, like that Ponzi's up. The bubble's gotten too big in real estate.
Yeah.
And if shit hits the fan with global warming, it's not going to matter what you own because for safety reasons, we got to fucking confiscate.
You don't own it anyways.
You don't own it anyways.
No.
We got to move you into the city because it's not safe anymore.
Yeah.
Right? So honestly, the best thing now.
They can't take your Bitcoin.
They can't take your Bitcoin.
They can't take your Bitcoin. In a digital era that we were living in, still to this day, they cannot take your Bitcoin.
It's the most scarce thing that's ever existed.
Yeah.
And it's the one thing that they can't fucking take from you.
Can't take it, can't torch it with a laser.
All right,
that's it. That's it. All right, you guys have a good night. Smash that like, subscribe if you're new. Let's get right into it. Peace. Or peace out. Figs and Box out. Peace.
Figs and Bogs.
Blue does nothing.
Yeah, you sent me that reel, but I couldn't open it. So I was like, does it work?
Yeah.
Does it work?
So this guy actually has it like.